All right, do close, 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 far, far again. Ready? Hold on.
Close, 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 close.
Far, 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 far.
Good
Good
job.
job.
That sounded good.
You can hear that?
All right, and you're all set up.
I hear something.
I'm here, guys.
Hey!
You're listening to
The SchultzCast. The SchultzCast. Welcome to the SchultzCast. Today is Saturday, November 14th, 2020. This is a podcast for our family and friends where we interview our family and friends. I'm the announcer, Kevin, and here are our hosts, Samantha and Reed.
Thank you. Welcome to the show. We have an amazing show today because our guest is Eric Stone. Hi.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
This is my first interview for a podcast ever, so I'm really stoked.
Reed, can you tell our listeners who Eric is and why we're talking to him today?
So Eric is the guy who runs the Rewilding school I went to over the summer, and we thought it would be very interesting to interview him so that maybe he can tell us a little more about the wild and the stuff that we learn in camp. Are you ready for some questions?
I would love some questions.
What is Rewilding school and how did you come up with it?
That's a great question. So the Rewilding School is an outdoor education program. We take kids and adults outside to have fun and learn really cool skills. And in doing so, it allows us to help take care of the land. So by playing on the land and by learning really fun things to do, we're actually helping the land grow and recover and building a relationship with it that helps everybody involved.
Cool.
So as you guys were involved in summer, we have our summer programs where we get kids out for full day out in the woods, doing really fun things like building shelters.
Yeah, it was really fun. We did a stick throwing contest. We did fishing. We built fires. We went frogging, which is you take nets and you try to catch frogs because in the summer there's a lot of frogs. Oh, also, we made clay. Can I take my headphones off and go get the clay?
No, it's okay. Not right now.
I have something that I know we did. We ate clovers.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. They're wood sorrel. They're basically clovers with yellow flowers on the stem and three petals on it. In wood sorrel, it's shaped like a heart.
That was a really good explanation. So wood sorrel is a plant. It's a cousin of garden sorrel that you could get at especially grocery stores. And just like Reed was saying, it has three heart-shaped leaves that are arranged like a clover. Some people call them lemon hearts because the leaves and the flowers and the seed pods all taste really lemony.
Yeah, they do.
A favorite trail snack to just kind of pop in your mouth and get that little brightness of that lemon flavor.
Yeah. I don't like lemons, but I like wood sorrel. Didn't you say you ate blackberry? Yeah, we ate blackberries.
Mm-hmm.
We found a blackberry bush and we ate some blackberries.
Yeah, we had a really good harvest of blackberries this year. Blackberries and wineberries.
What are wineberries?
Wineberries come out a little bit before blackberries, kind of at the end of July or the beginning of August. And they are also called a Japanese raspberry. They're big and red and juicy, and they grow on wineberry bushes. But they taste like really sweet raspberries.
Do they taste like wine?
Not really.
Did they get you drunk?
If you fermented them, maybe, but no, they don't last long enough for that. They're just really tasty and sweet.
We also went for hikes. We played camouflage.
Yeah, so camouflage is a game that kind of mimics what animals do outside. So there's a lot of animals who have a survival strategy of camouflaging themselves in the woods, in the fields, in the pond. And that could be because they are predator animals who want to hide themselves from prey and get their food that way. Or they're prey animals who want to hide themselves from predators. And when we do our camouflage game, everybody goes out into the woods and we set boundaries where it's safe to be. And one person either has a blindfold or closes their eyes and starts counting down. Everyone has maybe 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds to go and find a place to hide before the person who's blindfolded takes off the blindfold and starts looking for people. And that's kind of the start of a lot of different games, like Blind Old Owl or any of our other camouflage games stem from that ability just to hide and be still and be small and blend in with the place that you're sitting in.
What were some of your favorite activities?
Oh man, this was a lot of fun this summer. So we had our summer program in two places this summer. We had one at Croton Point Park, and we had one where you went to the program in Mount Kisco at
Marsh Sanctuary.
Marsh Sanctuary. And I think at Croton, one of the most fun things we did was go fishing in the Hudson River.
Wait, did you get the clay from the Hudson River?
The clay came from the Hudson River, actually.
Oh,
Yep, we gathered that clay this summer. It wasn't at Croton Point Park, but it was elsewhere in the Hudson River. And we do that just because clay is kind of a limited resource, and we do have to protect that from just taking too much. So we only take one bucket a year, and that lasts us through the whole year of making pots and beads and leaf prints and all kinds of other things.
I made a pot and 6 marbles.
And they're still in your room.
Yep, they are.
That's awesome.
What was your favorite activity at Marsh Sanctuary where I went?
At Marsh, my favorite activity was absolutely building campfires.
Yeah, it was mine too.
Yeah, being able to cook your lunch over the campfire. There's just nothing better than just relaxing over a campfire that you built with flint and steel.
Yeah.
And just watching the smoke drift off into the sky and eating a nice warm lunch. There's nothing better.
Yeah, and when we made our throwing sticks, it was actually steam that was drifting up into the sky.
Yeah, because the sticks
Were wet. They
were
were
wet.
damp.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Do you remember what we used those throwing sticks for? Like why?
Yeah, we played this game where we stuck 3 sticks in the ground, and we had to throw our throwing sticks, and there were 2 teams, and whichever team got at least 2 first won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game's called Kub, which is Swedish for king. It's a throwing stick game to kind of help you learn how to throw really accurately. And we have different programs in the winter. So we do have winter camp between Christmas and New Year's.
Wait, in the winter, do you ice skate?
Sometimes, if it is cold enough and the ice is thick enough, we do go out on the ice. Sometimes for ice fishing, sometimes just to slide around on the ice. Sometimes if there's snow, we'll go sledding, or we'll track animals through the snow, which is a lot of fun. Following deer.
Do you use things that help you hear extra, and then you can, like red foxes, you can hear the mice under the snow?
I have heard mice crawling through the snow. If you put your hands over your ears and cup them, it makes your ears like super hearers, and you can direct the sound into your ears. We call them coyote ears, or fox ears, or bear's ears, and they help us listen.
They're doing it now.
I can hear you better.
Awesome. Exactly. Yeah. So we do summer, we do winter. We have programs for kids homeschool. We do archery lessons. We have a forest preschool that runs all year round. And recently we just started a program for adults in the BIPOC community that we call Reparative Roots. And just getting a bunch of BIPOC adults out in the woods playing. And it's a lot of fun.
You can do it.
That sounds pretty cool. I'll try to get your mom out there too. In the winter. Can you imagine?
Their mom's not gonna sign up for
That's
that.
not gonna happen.
She's-
She won't even do it in the spring.
We'll have to have you guys out.
Maybe on the hottest day in summer. I taught them how to play poison dart frog.
It's a great game.
It's like where there's a poison dart frog, and
Is it a real poison dart frog or
it's a person that plays as a poison dart frog. When they stick their tongue out at someone, the person dies, and the other person has to try to figure out who the poison dart frog is.
Everyone sits in a circle, and because of COVID reasons, we have to make sure that everyone's in a socially distant circle, because this is a game we can't play with masks on. So everyone has to be at least 6, preferably 8 feet apart from each other. And one person, like you were saying, is the seeker. And they, at the beginning of the round, are outside of the circle when we decide who in the circle, on the outside of that circle, is going to be the poison dart frog. That person, like you were saying, sticks their tongue out at everybody else in the circle. When the seeker comes back, they're trying to figure out who the poison dart frog is. The poison dart frog is trying to keep their existence a secret. And so if the poison dart frog sticks their tongue out at you, then you would have a dramatic, like hands up in the air, fainting episode or death, however you want to call it. And then exactly like that. And the poison dart frog keeps trying to get everybody in the circle, and the seeker tries to find out who the poison dart frog is.
Yes.
It's a great COVID game because everybody's sitting down. You can do it socially distanced, and it's a really sneaky game. So you kind of get that little sneaky coyote energy going on. And that's a lot of fun.
I like Deer Meadow.
Like Deer Meadow.
We went on a hike there, and it was all like cut down and dead.
Gotcha. I know exactly the spot that you're talking about. So right after camp ended, they mowed a bunch of meadow area to help the meadow stay meadow. Because if the people don't mow it, sometimes that can turn into forest. And forest is great, but there's just different animals and plants that live in meadows than forests.
Oh, there we found like all those, what we call like mini tarantulas. Remember those things? They're like water bugs.
Yeah, but they live in the grass?
Yeah, they live in the grass, but I also saw the same spider hop through the water and then hop onto a rock.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's 2 spiders that live in that area. One is what we call wolf spiders, and they're kind of those ambush predators that hunt other insects inside grasslands. And then on water, there's fishing spiders who actually hunt small fish, and they'll catch them right out of the water. So they look really similar. Maybe you saw a wolf spider go for a swim or a fish spider on land, but usually they're 2 different ones.
Oh, wait, so the spider actually like catches a fish?
Yeah, just like if you are going fishing and you sit at the water's edge and wait for a fish to bite your lure, the fishing spider waits at the water's edge and uses its front legs to grab small fish out of the water, kind of like a crane, but this is a spider.
Describe your face right now, Samantha.
My tongue is out and my face is just like scrunched up.
That's the way that they live their life. And it helps because it makes sure that the fish that grow up are really smart and to avoid predators like that.
But this fish has to be like super small, smaller than my fish.
Well, when fish are born, especially really small fish like sunfish or crappies or perch, when they're born, they're really small. And that's what the spider really feeds on.
Oh, my fish are like 5 neon tetras and 1 beta. Yeah. Ruby is like a centimeter long. The rest are like a centimeter and a half. Big guy is like a centimeter. What's the most interesting or exciting thing that's ever happened to you hiking or camping?
I have 2 favorite experiences camping. One was far away from here in one of the parks out west where I woke up, and even though it was August, it was still 32 degrees out. It was super cold.
Cold.
Yeah, it was really cold, but I really wanted to go fishing. And so right at first light, right when the dawn came, or even before the sun rose and was just getting that first light, I pulled on my fishing waders and I started fly fishing down at the lake. And I was hearing elk bugle across the lake and the sun come up over the mountains. And there was just a little bit of fog coming off of the lake. And as I'm out there casting, I see this ball, this like furry ball start bouncing down the hillside right behind me. I look over, and as soon as it hits the water, it bursts open. And I realized that that furry ball was a bundle of otters. And I had never seen otters before. And they were just swimming and like frolicking through the water. One of them like turns to me, tilts her head as if like, what are you doing? And so I explained to her, like, I'm telling her I'm fishing. I'm going to try to catch some fish for my breakfast. I think it was the mom. And she dives down. And I think, oh, she's gone. Okay, I'll keep fishing. She comes up maybe 30 seconds later with this beautiful 12-inch rainbow trout in her mouth. And as if to say, like, that's not how you fish. This is how you fish.
That's so funny.
That was probably my favorite experience camping, is just being taught to fish by a bunch of river otters.
Wait, can you pack the car with our waders and fishing poles for Sunday?
So what?
At 6 p.m.
What?
No, 6 a.m.
So, wait, tomorrow?
Yes.
You want to go fishing tomorrow morning in your
Yes.
waders? Let's talk. He got waders for his birthday also.
No, for your
Awesome. It's gonna be cold and rainy tomorrow.
Actually, I got it for his birthday.
All right. Well, I got mine on my birthday, and I wasn't getting waders just for me. So Reed got his on my birthday also. He got them early.
That's awesome. But My favorite experience hiking local. I was with a group of kids. I was teaching over at Muscoot Farm a little while ago. And just like at Rewilding School, we have lunch around a campfire. We had just gotten to the top of this hill and had lit the campfire, and we were kind of getting ready to have lunch when on two sides of us, we started hearing coyotes. And not just like one or two, but there was like a total of maybe 6 coyotes calling, no more than, I don't know, 100 feet from us, although we couldn't see them. I have dealt with coyotes a lot, but even I was starting to get a little nervous with how close they were. And coyotes in general, they're not really anything to be cautious about, to be aware of, yeah, but they're not really going to hurt a big group of people. But there were just so many of them when they were so close. And I had a 10-year-old in the group who was just absolutely fearless. And he stood up right in the middle of the group and started howling right back at these coyotes. And the entire group got up and started howling with them too. And it was just the coolest experience of being wild in Westchester. And I love that story.
That's really cool. Wait, what happened?
We howled for a little bit and the coyotes just wandered off. They didn't bother us. We never saw them.
I'm terrified of coyotes.
I know a lot of people who are scared of coyotes. And there's a lot of really interesting things about coyotes and how they're helping our ecosystem and how our ecosystem and our local habitats are just welcoming them in, because they didn't come to this area until like the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s. But unless you're a teacup poodle or a 2-year-old, you really don't have to worry about them. Most of their diet is plants or meat that they get from the roadside, sometimes small mammals, but never people, and very, very rarely pets. Like I said, most of their diet, especially around here, is whatever plant matter they can find. Sometimes that's fruit, like wild grapes or apples from old apple orchards. Sometimes that's roadkill, like if a deer got hit or died in another way. Sometimes coyotes will go after like bird eggs, like turkey eggs, or they'll hunt turkeys, or they'll catch frogs, or even sometimes raccoons, anything that they can get. But they're not very big. Most of them are smaller than a golden retriever. They're really small animals.
Wow. What?
Yeah, they're between 40 and 60 pounds. Sometimes around here they'll get to be up to 70, but that's really rare.
Aren't wolves at the top of the food chain?
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, so wolves are the top of the food chain in North America, and actually in most places around this latitude. But there hasn't been any wolves in New York since the late 1800s. People actually killed them all because they were scared of wolves. Like some people are scared of coyotes now.
I know.
Oh, that's why they made the stories like Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, people have been scared for wolves for a long time, mostly because wolves eat what people eat. So if people had like cows or sheep in the fields, they felt that they needed to protect those animals from the wolves because they relied on those animals for food. And so the wolves gained this reputation of being really big and evil and kind of people's enemy, which is why people killed them off over most of this country.
I actually know a lot about wolves because last year in 3rd grade, we learned so much about wolves, and I had to make a project. And we also did like a Zoom call with the Wolf Conservation Center.
That's so cool.
That we were supposed to go on a field trip, but it got canceled because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a Zoom, and I learned a lot of good stuff about wolves.
That's so cool.
The only thing wolves are afraid of is humans.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And in places where wolves were removed and then welcomed back in, like in Yellowstone Park, people discovered that the wolves actually helped the ecosystem a lot, and in ways we didn't even expect.
Yeah. They eat like deer and stuff, and if the deer doesn't get eaten by the wolves, sickness can spread if the deer got sick, and it could cause more deer to die.
Yeah, so instead of killing all the deer, they just kill one deer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think it also ties into rewilding.
Yeah.
Wolves are kind of that symbol of wilderness, and we don't have any wolves here anymore. Instead, we have people and we have coyotes. And so rewilding is all about how people have that relationship with the land. And so understanding now that we don't have wolves and we don't have cougars, how do we work with the land?
Can you tell us step by step how to build and start a campfire with flint and steel?
Oh, for sure. That's a really great question. So the first thing is to make sure that it's safe to have a campfire there and that you have permission to do it. So make sure that you are in a place where it's rained recently or the ground is pretty damp. There's no like fire advisory or fire warnings around. Then you want to make sure that you have somebody who's there with you, that's a trusted adult who knows that it's safe to do it there. Then you want to clear that ground of anything that's burnable. That would be leaves or grass or sticks, at least 2 feet past where you have the edge of your fire. Then you want to make sure you have some water, at least a gallon of water if you're doing a small fire, to put that fire out when you're done with it and just for safety. Then once you have that, you want to gather all your materials. So you can divide up your sticks. I don't like to burn anything larger than 2 fingers together. That's kind of my limit of firewood. And you want to make sure your wood is dry, that it breaks easily when you crack it, and it's not rotten or soft. And then you kind of separate it out into big sticks, medium sticks, thin sticks, and then super thin sticks. Once you have all of that set up, you grab a piece of tinder. I like to use jute, which is a piece of natural fiber string. You could also use grapevine or cedar bark or milkweed pods or a bunch of other things.
Birch bark.
Birch bark would be a great one too. And then you make a big old fluffy ball. Then you take your flint, put that right in the center of your fire. Then you take your flint and steel. With flint and steels we use are also called ferrocium rods or ferrocerium. And you hold the flint in one hand and the steel, which is a little bit of saw blade, and you pull that flint back while holding that steel angled forward, releasing this big shower of sparks right into your tinder. Once your tinder's lit, then you can start moving up the ladder of the little thin sticks, putting on the tinder and letting those catch and moving on to bigger and bigger sticks, making sure that there's enough space and heat and doing that little dance with the fire, making sure that it works well. And once you get up to kind of your medium size or thick sticks, that's when you can start cooking.
Does that like string thing?
Jute rope.
Yeah, that. Does that come from nature?
Really good question. Yeah, jute is a natural fiber. So you can have cotton fiber or linen fiber. It's just a common garden string. And I use the really natural stuff, not the stuff that's dyed. So you're looking for it to be a brown color, not green or red.
How do you move your hand so quick when there's just one ember and make a big fire?
Usually in non-COVID times, I actually use my lungs to blow on the fire. So the air, you're moving oxygen into the fire to help it grow. In non-COVID times, I'll use my lungs and I'll blow into the coals of the fire to move that air. You can use a hat, you can use a piece of cardboard, or you can use your hand just to kind of waft some air into those embers.
How do you move it so fast? I do as quick as I can, and there's not even any wind going on my face. How do you make a fire out of doing that?
You got to find ways that work for you. So if your hand isn't doing it, find a piece of cardboard or find a hat or something else that'll help you blow. Or if you're around people within your pod and you don't have to wear a mask, you can blow gently into the coals of the fire to help those grow. You don't need to actually use your hand.
You have to be on the bottom.
Yeah, you blow on the bottom, and that way the heat rises and it'll use that air to grow rather than blowing from the top and pushing your flames down. The only other thing that I want to mention about fire is once you have the fire lit and you're done with it, what do you do with it? And we always disappear our fires. Not everyone's responsible with fire, and they may not put it out the right way, or they might leave evidence of their fire standing. So I always love it when people will gather up their cold ashes and pour water all over it, bury those embers and put leaves back. We call it salt and peppering to make sure that the land looks like we were never there and never had a fire there.
We roasted s'mores on our fire.
Awesome. S'mores are great. Apples are great. Peaches are great.
Wait.
Little bits of bread.
Wait. Pause. You roast apples?
Of course. Get an apple slice. You can put a little bit of cinnamon on there and just put that on a stick and roast it over the fire. It's like a little bit of apple pie.
Very cool.
As long as you're doing it in a safe way that brings you joy and keeps it all people and forests around you safe, that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we're doing it on a stone in our side yard where there's no grass. We brush
Perfect.
some leaves out where we're going to put the stone. And then we put the sticks on the stone and the tinder. And then we light it with the flint and steel.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you're doing it exactly right.
Yeah, for my birthday, we got flint and steel.
Mhm.
It's like the ones we had at camp, but it's a
Nice.
bit longer.
Cool.
And also I got the string.
The jute twine.
Yeah.
Have you kind of narrowed down your technique for flint and steel fires? What's one thing you've learned about making fires that you've learned on your own that you weren't taught?
I don't really know. I learned it all at camp.
Awesome.
How, when, and where did you learn all of that?
It's all about dirt time and good mentors. So getting yourself out there and not being afraid to try it. Like yesterday, we had a class and somebody wanted to make a flute to summon a Pegasus in one of our fantasy programs. And so I was like, okay, let's build a flute. I had never done it before, but we were looking around at materials and I found some hollow reeds to use and started looking up ways of cutting them to make it vibrate the right way. And it didn't work, but I have a whole lot of a better understanding of it now than I did yesterday. And it's just keep trying things. If something looks like it's going to be a good tinder bundle, try it. See if it'll catch a spark. If you think that something is going to be a good shelter, set up a tent next to it and then do an overnight in that shelter. See if it does work for you. Or if it didn't work, how would it be better? I went camping in the middle of winter in 12-degree weather and had to keep a fire going through the night.
Awesome.
So I grew up in northern Westchester, and I actually had this special tree in my front yard, a black birch tree, that would drop twigs with every gust of wind. I didn't know at the time, but it was dying and it was dropping those branches. And each of those times it taught me something. And so in the summer, my family would cook over a charcoal barbecue, and it was my job to start the fire. So I would gather up all those twigs and I would use flint and steel or matches or friction fire to start that fire and use those birch twigs to layer up and build that fire. And that's how I got my first practice lighting campfires. I've fed myself off the land and fished a lot of different waters. And it's just going out there and getting the dirt time. And then finding people when you have questions who you can trust to give you really good information. Like my friend out in California who taught me how to make a hand drill fire.
What's a hand drill fire?
So rubbing two sticks together between your hands to get it spinning and then make enough friction to start a fire. Or somebody who taught me in Ithaca how to bend wood by heating it up. Or a friend who taught me how to make baskets, which I had never done before. But
You taught me how to make baskets.
Yep. And so you pass on the information. You become a mentor to others. And that's kind of what I do.
Well, I do know, my own, it's not a question, but I know that everything that we're talking about now is stuff that he taught me.
Well, I'm glad I could be that mentor for you.
Yes.
And I hope that we'll get a chance to go out in the woods again soon.
If anyone's listening and they want to learn more about rewilding, Eric, where could they go? Who could they contact?
Yeah, so you can contact me or our manager, Megan, at info@rewildingschool.com. Or you can visit our website at rewildingschool.com to learn more about what we do or schedule some dirt time with us.
Awesome. Yeah, Reed had a really great summer with you guys, and that's exactly why we were excited to talk to you again.
That's all we have for today.
Wait. Is 15 old for a black rat snake?
15 years?
Yeah.
I actually don't know how long black rat snakes live, but that seems to be like a normal age. They probably don't live that long commonly in the wild just because they have so many predators around here. But
Glad we got that question in before we broke. Try that again.
That's all we have for today.
Did you have fun?
absolutely, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks to our guest, Eric Stone. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah, that was really fun. Thanks for doing it.
Of course, if you guys ever want to have me on again, I'll be happy to do it.
Oh, all
Yay,
right,
I have
excellent.
so much questions. I just have questions about the wild.
All right, maybe
So
we'll put
much.
together like a game show where Eric has to answer all your questions.
Yeah!
I'm kidding.